Hi, this is Shweta, your recruiter. Recruitment at leadership level, it's not about titles. It's about trust, impact, and influence. Ever wondered what top recruiters look for in future leaders? Stay tuned. I'm with Fiona Pereira to spill the secrets. Today I'm joined by Fiona Pereira, Director of Talent Acquisition and Talent Management for Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific Islands for the Marriott Hotels. So before we dive in, Fiona, could you please briefly introduce yourself and share your current role across the Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific Islands?
Thanks for having me, Sweta. So I started with Marriott over 30 years ago and I was the restaurant supervisor at the London Marriott Hotel. Over a couple of years I worked my way up and my next role was then at the Singapore Marriott Hotel as Director of Restaurants, where I looked after 7 outlets. Then I decided to move to Sydney. So in 2003, I was the food and beverage manager at Sydney Harbour Marriott Hotel. A couple of children later, and I did a couple of roles. I was a casual reservations agent, I was a part-time cluster L&D leader, then I was a part-time HR manager, and then an opportunity came up at the beautiful Pier 1 Autograph Collection Hotel in Sydney, and I was the part-time director of HR there for almost 8 years. Then a role came up looking after the talent acquisition and talent management strategies for Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, and that's the role I've been doing for nearly 4 years.
Wow. Thank you, Fiona. Let's get straight into the questions. So my first question is, for professionals aspiring to step into management roles, what advice would you give to help them genuinely stand out to recruiters and talent leaders like yourself?
That's a great question. I really think passion is something that has to come through. If you're going to be a great leader, you've got to love what you do and you've got to love being able to share that with others. In Marriott, storytelling is a really, really big part of what we do. It's our culture, it's who we are. In an interview, if you can't tell your story and you can't tell the story of what you've done, then we're not getting to see who you are and your potential as a leader. So if you're looking to step into that first management role, you should be really proving yourself as a leader already. When I was a supervisor, I wanted that next role, and therefore I strived to that next role. Everything I did was focused on what do I need to do to get that next role. And I think I've always had passion, and you can tell in an interview when somebody doesn't have passion. That would be the kind of the main thing to come across, the passion and how you share that in storytelling.
Wow. So what are your top 3 tips when you're recruiting for a management role?
So for candidates, first of all, you've got to get to the interview. So my first tip would be have your resume really represent who you are. Now, when you're in an interview, when you get the interview, you might be asked to talk about yourself. Don't just say exactly what's on your resume. The recruiter will have looked at your resume. You've got to bring it to life. So first tip is have that really great resume and bring your resume to life. The second tip, which I've kind of already mentioned, is that storytelling. It's really important with management roles, you're going to have KPIs or goals. So therefore, you need to research the company. You need to know what the goals of the company are and the vision of the company is, and you need to tailor your story to that vision. So we love to promote internally with Marriott. So if it's internally, the candidates would know the goals and they want to be able to talk about them, talk about results. What have you achieved? So I remember when I was a restaurant supervisor and I worked my way up, in my interview for the Singapore Marriott, I talked about how we had achieved our first profitable year. So I remember we celebrated when we made our first profit. As a restaurant, we made profit for the first time ever. So I could talk about that result with passion. So it's not just about churning out, these are the results, this is what we did. It's talking about how did you achieve it and what was your role and what you achieved. So that second tip was a bit long. So that's 2 tips. And my third, it comes back again to passion. If you don't want to, in the hospitality industry, if you don't have a passion to serve others, then you've chosen the wrong industry. And when you're a leader, you are serving the owners, they're your stakeholder, you're serving the associates, and you're serving the guests. That doesn't matter whether you're in HR, like we are. It doesn't matter whether you're in finance or whether you're in food and beverage or one of the operations departments. We are here for the guests and we're here for the associates. So you want to be able to share your passion for that. That's my top 3 tips.
Amazing. Looking back at your career, what's the best piece of advice you've ever given or would give to future leaders?
I've been given some great advice myself over the years from people that were my mentors or I really admired. And I have some mentees now, and one of the things we always talk about is, it's going to sound a bit cliched, but you've got to love what you do, right? There's lots of cheesy things out there about, you know, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. I'm not going to go that far, but you've got to love it. You spend more time at work than you do at home, so you've really got to love it and be excited by it. I think the hospitality industry is one of the most exciting industries, and I think that if you choose to work in this industry, you've really got to love it, because you're going to be working shifts, you're going to be working unsociable hours sometimes, so you've got to be excited by it. You've got to, when you're part of a big function for 600 people and you're setting it up, it's got to really excite you. If you're preparing for an associate event, you've got to be so excited about it that you want everybody to really enjoy it. So I think you've just got to love what you do.
Follow this series if you want real insights from the leaders shaping how talent is hired.